Bill Henshaw here again, another you win in court at gmail.com video on my constitutional crisis issues. And again, a little bit of a departure, but it makes sense on the cusp of yet another Memorial Day. And here we go again. And you understand the real story here. I have no use and no respect for Memorial Day, which has nothing to do with all the people whose lives were needlessly sacrificed to do nothing more than advance the agenda of privileged corporate entities, especially New York gangsters, and federal regional martial law rule. And we're getting an especially vivid testimony of that now with all this COVID crap going on. That's what they want to do, is take it all over and just rule it from New York, the Vatican, London, wherever. And that's what all these wars have been about since at least going back to the war between the states. And I've got rock solid, hard evidence. And if you want to get that and learn more about these issues and what I advocate, send me an email, youwinnincourt@gmail.com. I'll fire the information right back at you. But I go past and we have a big local cemetery where I am, military. And I'm never angrier than when I go past that cemetery because I realize that probably 90% of those people should not be there. But for the lies, deceit, and fraud committed by the American government, there's no nice way to put that. But if you read and study as I have, especially the books like Wall Street and the Rise of Hitler, and books like that by Anthony C. Sutton, and I emulate what he does, by the way. His books are so documented with black and white support, you just can't argue any of it. As we put Hitler in power, financed the Bolshevik Revolution in Russia, among other things. So we really didn't have any enemies at all in the Second World War. It just looked that way. The whole thing was a sham. Greed, corporate greed, nothing more or less than that. And it has to stop. And I think now we have an unprecedented window in which we can make a lot of progress there because a lot of people are going to be much more interested now, especially with the federal government threatening to come and knock on their front door with military troops, needles in hand, to give you and your children compulsory COVID vaccinations. A lot of people will have a lot more interest now to protect their children on what the limits of federal military power is, and there are limits. And I happen to have a lot of answers in that area. No one has them all, but trust me, nobody on the other side in the de facto government wants to see me coming. I'll beat him just as clean as I did in South Carolina in my felony case there. Alone in a jail cell, locked down 18 hours a day, no attorney, and it wasn't close. I don't think it's going to be close here either. The stakes are somewhat higher. I get that. But if we're right, if we have a constitution and our right to trial by jury, a lot of things can be done here over the course of the next 6 months to a year. And I'm doing some packets, by the way, COVID packets to help people out, especially you that are be threatened, by having your children inoculated, whether you want them to be or not. And with the vaccine, we don't know what the hell is in it. What we do know is you got a Moroccan vaccine czar, and always look out for that word. That's from Russia. And who also has strong ties, wouldn't you know, to big pharma and probably Bill Gates in the bargain. And what that means is the FDA testing procedures are going to be virtually worthless. They're going to be controlled, and they'll take care of business at that end to be sure no one finds out anything remotely related to the truth of what this vaccine is or what it contains. And there's some serious issues about that for another video, but trust me, it's very, very disturbing. And if you know even what I know about the history of the Army Chemical and Biological Warfare Department and the experiments in New Orleans with the Public Health Service in the 1960s that happened to correspond exactly with the assassination of Kennedy in Dealey Plaza, and those two things might well be very related. You know that this is a government that you shouldn't trust any further than you could throw them. I mean, you believe them at your own peril. It's that simple. So that said, what we're trying to do here is get out from under and do it the best way that we can. And I think I can be a big help there excuse me, especially this near Memorial Day, this is one of the saddest days of the year for all of us. I've not personally lost anybody. And the story I'll tell you later, I was stupid. I was so abysmally ignorant at the age of 19 because they didn't teach me a damn thing in school either. I volunteered into the Marine Corps at the age of 19 at the height of the Tet Offensive. If my mom hadn't put a curse on the Marines and said, "You're not going to get them," and they didn't, I have the shortest tour of active duty in the history of the Marine Corps. I might have been a victim over there in Da Nang myself. Didn't know any better. I do now, and if you get my materials, so will you. Send me an email, uwinningcourt@gmail.com. To the viewers, remember to like my videos, subscribe, and tell your friends. Get the word out. The more of us that put on the show here and challenge these bastards, the quicker we get them out of the way. Thank you.